And our final teaching artist of the festival is the incredible Brittany Aston, also known as Brittany Chantel. Brittany Chantel Bay is a dynamic pop hip hop artist, visual artist, and activist. Chantel works as a multifaceted creator using visual art, songwriting, and community-driven action to inspire individuals to make a positive change. Brittany has shown commitment to social justice incentives, including speaking at schools to tell students the truth about military enlistment, and participating in Pittsburgh's organization, One Hood Media, which builds liberated communities through art, education, and social justice. Without further ado, here's Brittany Chantel, everybody.
Hey, thank you so much. First and foremost, just want to say thank you for having me. And also shout out to Yusef, because that was super dope, and you are absolutely amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So today, we're gonna talk about performance etiquette and how to fully be prepared for every performance you have. So this is something that I'm very passionate about. I think like a well-oiled machine, if you will, when it comes to performing is super important. And it not only does it make everybody else's experience better when it comes to a concert or a performance, but it's going to make your experience better. And like, why would you not want that? So without further ado, my name is Brittany Chantel. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a pop hip hop artist, visual artist, speaker, teaching artist. And I've been writing music since I was, I would like to say probably like 7, 8 years old. I got my first poem published in 6th grade. And, I really put a lot of my music desires on the back burner, mostly because of the military. And it was very kind of around the time where I realized what my, that music is my passion. And then that's what I need to be, working towards and working on and for myself and for others. I started to actually record my music in 2016. I started off as a spoken word poet first, because I actually didn't know how to perform music live. I didn't really understand sound and, like if I perform this song, how do I just get the backing track and perform the lyrics? How do I get vocal effects on the vocals when I'm performing live? I didn't understand a lot of that. And I didn't really have a community or a network when I first started recording in Pittsburgh to really for anybody to teach me that. And I was Googling stuff. I didn't really know what to Google. I didn't really know what to look for. So that's why I actually started just performing as a spoken word poet. And a lot of my spoken word pieces were really just raps that I would just perform as poems. I ended up putting out my first EP, and that's when I kind of learned how to perform live, and I dived right in and just did it. And I made mistakes along the way, as expected, but you learn from those mistakes. Some of them I'm going to talk about today. I joined One Hood in 2018. Shout out to One Hood. If you're not familiar, definitely give them a search, give them a follow on Instagram. And One Hood also helped me a lot with when it comes to artist development. And, what is the expectation of performing? What is the expectation of a good performance? What does that look like? And how to prepare for that. I've also participated in 2 theater production scores. I've performed over 300 times, and I just moved to Chicago from Pittsburgh. But don't worry, I still consider Pittsburgh my home. I'm saying? Y'all all got my back, and I appreciate that, and I love y'all. All right, so let's jump right into it. We're gonna talk about the 3 stages of getting ready for a performance, right? You got your pre-performance, and then you got your performance, that's showtime, and then you got your post-performance. And each of these stages, there's specific things that you can do to ensure that you have a good performance and that you make it the best that you can, right? So pre-performance, this is so important, y'all. And also I'm down to share this PowerPoint with anybody, but this is also being recorded. Okay, so when it comes to booking, whether someone reaches out to you or you reach out to someone else, let's say like you see a festival and you're like, wow, this festival I really want to perform at, and you reach out to them, you need to ask the right questions, right? To see, number one, if they're accepting performers, but so that you have all the information that you need in order to go about making the decision if you still actually really want to perform at that festival. Because who knows, it might look really, really awesome on the flyer, but then maybe you find out that, you know, I mean, even scheduling wise, maybe you find out that it's like not at a good time for you, or maybe you find out that you don't really agree with the morals or the values of the event promoter or something like that, right? So you want to be able to ask the right questions. Vice versa, if they reach out to you, you still want to be able to ask the right questions. I always go by who, what, when, where, why, and how. These are some questions that I think when I started, I'm gonna say I statements. When I started, I didn't think about, and it led me to either not as good performances as like I know that they could be, or it led to confusion. It may have led to some resentment. And you want to avoid all those things when moving through the performance space. So first things first is who is organizing the show or the concert. Is it a company? You might want to know that, because if it's a company, there's probably way more money involved. And if they're trying to give you, you know, a low compensation rate, advocate for yourself. Is it a nonprofit organization or just an organization? Is it someone's birthday party, right? You want to know who's organizing the show or the concert. Then who is all planned to perform? Is it just you, or is there a lineup of artists? What are they looking for? What's the expected set time? Are they just looking for one song? Are they looking for 20 minutes? Are they looking for 45 minutes? Are they looking for an hour? And do they have any specific music or work of yours that they wish you to perform? I have 2 albums that are very, very different from each other. One album is all about my military experience. It's very heavy, lots of trigger warnings within that album. And then I have an album that is all about queer love. And that's, for the most part, pretty light and pretty lovey. There's like a couple real songs about, you know, boundaries and stuff, but it's a very different vibe. So you want to like ask them like, hey, do you have specific work of mine that you were seeking for me to perform? What is the compensation? So pay. You got to be asking this, and please don't pay to play. If you don't know what pay to play means, that means that somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, we have this great opportunity for you, and we want to secure your slot, so pay us $50 for this slot. I will tell you right now, those performances are never worth it. And this is my personal opinion. I don't care who's going to be there. I don't care if Jay-Z is going to be there. I'm not paying to play. That's my personal opinion. You could feel differently, but my advice is to never pay to play. What are the accommodations? Is there a green room, like a backstage room for you and your bandmates or your team? Is there going to be drinks? Is there going to be food? You know, what are the accommodations that are going to be provided? Again, advocate for yourself, especially if it is a larger performance. Especially if it's a company that is backing the performance or sponsoring the performance, advocate for yourself. If you want a specific type of water, say that, ask for it. The worst that can happen is they say no, right? And then you can make the decision, you still want to perform. When is the performance? Date and time. And also, is there a rain date? Sometimes like with outdoor performances, they will have a planned rain date or a rain plan. So you want to ask that as well. When do they plan on providing the compensation? So are you going to get paid as soon as you step off the stage? Are you going to get paid before? Are you going to get paid 5 to 10 business days afterwards? You want to ask those questions. Where is the performance? So you want to know where it's at. I think this is like common sense, but there's been a lot of times where someone's like, yo, I don't even know where I'm performing. And that's just where you're gonna be. Not only to like promote yourself and to answer people's questions, but to like be ready for you so that you can show up on time and whatnot. Why is this performance happening? So is it to bring awareness to a cause? Is it to bring people together? Is it just for a fun night? Like what's the cause? What's the reasoning behind the performance? Why do they want to book you specifically? Is it because your music, goes with the theme of the night? Is it because they've seen you before? You want to make those connections. That's also a part of networking. And then how do they plan to pull off this show or concert? This can be layered, it's like maybe, when it comes to like COVID, it's like, how do you plan to do this? Like, what are the precautions like in place? What are the safety nets, right? So you want to be asking those questions just so that for yourself and again, for people who ask questions. So I'm sure that there are many other questions that you can ask in the booking phase that I didn't touch here. I forgot to say that I by no means am a guru on this. I still make mistakes. There's, times where I show up without, a power cord. There's times where I show up, without my set list. Like I'm not perfect and I'd make mistakes. So just because I'm presenting this presentation doesn't mean that, I'm the performance god. Next is your prep. So when it comes to communication, now this really depends on the venue, how big the venue is. This depends on how big the performance is. Sometimes they won't ask you for your stage plot. Sometimes they won't ask you for a tech writer. Sometimes they won't have a contract. All of those questions in the last slide, whatever you cover with them should be in a contract. You want your expectations and your promises in a written contract signed by you and the promoter or the people who are running the event. That way there's no confusion. There's no, oh, I didn't know. There's no, oh, we didn't say that. It's a written agreement. You want to make sure that you always, always, always have a contract. Even if you're only pulling up and performing one song, I think that it's super, super important. And it's just, I think it's business etiquette. If you don't know what a tech writer is, this can look very, very different for many different artists, depending upon what the artist is bringing. Especially if the artist is bringing like backup dancers and stuff like that. A tech writer could be 1 page, it could be 20. That is, like, what are your expectations and needs when it comes to lights? When it comes to, that could also include the food in the green room. What your dancers need, what your backing vocalists need. Like it's basically, I don't want to say a list of demands, but it's kind of a list of demands. And the promoter can kind of come back to you and say, oh, we do not have those types of lights, or we do not have this type of water, and then that way you can kind of negotiate the tech writer and just be like, okay, that's fine. You don't have that type of water. Like, we'll bring our own. It's all good. Your stage plot, which is, there's an example here on this slide of my stage plot, when I'm performing with a DJ and when I'm not performing with a band. And what this does is this makes it 10 times easier for the sound engineer or the sound team to know exactly what to put on stage for you, to know exactly what you're bringing and what they can expect to be hooking up. It makes sure that they have the proper chords, it makes sure that they have the proper staff. And it really just sets you up for success when people know what you're bringing and what you're not bringing, and what you need. So you can see that my DJ is going to be bringing his own DJ controller, but expects an amp and a power source, because we're not going to bring that ourselves. Some people do. I am going to bring my own wireless headset mic, my own in-ear monitors, and I'm also going to bring my own vocal processor. But what I need is a a amp, and a power source, or rather a monitor, sorry. So again, a stage plot, you can Google custom stage plot. You can, yeah, like there's people that even graphic designers can make one for you. So getting a stage plot is like essential. You want to know when load in is, where's parking, and when is sound check. Those are like 3 key things, especially if you have a band who's bringing a lot of equipment. You want to know when that load in time is, and you want to make sure that it's like not a significant amount of time before sound check, but that you have some time to actually unload your cars, park your cars, and then get ready for sound check. So those are all pretty important. I know a lot of venues in Pittsburgh, they do a really good job with this. They send you like a map and they show you like the highlighted portions of where you can park your cars, and they do a pretty good job in my experience of planning that. You want to ask, is there any specific rules that you should be aware of for that specific venue? One thing that happened with me is, I'm not going to name the venue, but there was a venue that served food, but it was food that I didn't really want. And we were there pretty early for load in and sound check. And it was one of those things where it's like, I need to eat before I perform. And I ended up going to a business down the street and bringing the food back, thinking that we would all eat there as a band. And the venue was really upset that we brought outside food in there to eat. That was something that was never, told to me. So I didn't know that that was an issue. So these are things that, they don't necessarily need to like strike up this big, blown out situation, but like it's possible. And it's possible that that can upset some people, and you don't want that type of energy before your performance. At least I don't. So you just want to know, like, is there anything that's gonna, upset someone that we should try and avoid? Or can we have a conversation about, XYZ beforehand? You also want to know guest list procedure. How many people can you put on the guest list? And you want to make sure that you communicate those people's names beforehand. There's always going to be the last minute people, and I know that, but you want to avoid that as much as possible, because if people are texting you like, yo, can you put me on the guest list? I know personally that can stress me out. And it takes me away from doing whatever I'm doing, whether I'm like doing a last minute rehearsal, or if there's like a tech issue or something like that. It's like the last thing I really want to be dealing with is putting someone on the guest list, or and trying to make sure that the front of house has those people's names. The next thing is, thinking about, I've said a band multiple times. Are you performing solo? Are you performing with a band? Are you bringing dancers, backup vocalists? If so, you want to hire those people. You want to make sure that you get a contract with them signed, and you want to rehearse, and you want to make sure that everybody knows what the set list is. What I personally do is I try to type out my set list and just make several copies. Like I almost make more copies than what I need. And I make sure that everybody has that previously, like before the show and day of show, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I think a set list, knowing what songs you're going to do beforehand is super important. On another side, I know, like, especially in the hip hop community, like sometimes reading your crowd is really important. So you can pull up and realize like, oh, there's like a lot of families here, and maybe I don't want to like blow this up with swearing, right? Or maybe you do, I don't know. But, I can understand kind of wanting to read the crowd before knowing what you're going to perform. Totally understand that. If that's the case, just make sure that you rehearse all of your songs, and make sure that, your band or your team, whoever's with you, is prepared to do last minute switches and change outs. Are you going to hire a photographer or videographer? Make sure that's actually another good question to ask the venue or to ask the promoter is, are they going to have a photographer or a videographer? And if so, do you have access to those photos or to that video that's going to be taken? Because a lot of times, if a venue or let's say a festival promoter is hiring a photographer and videographer, they're not just saying like, hey, I need you to get pictures and video of this one person or, you. They're saying like, get pictures and video of the entire festival to make an encompassing video or an encompassing social media post. And so like you might end up with only one photo of you, or like just a little like 5 seconds. If you want that documentation, which I highly recommend, hire your own videographer and photographer, and make sure that you have a contract with them as well. And make sure that they know all of the information that make sure that they know, even when load-in time and when sound check is, just keep them in the loop of everything that's going on that day, so that they know when to show up, what they can expect, what they're looking for, and what kind of shots you're looking for. Next thing is makeup artist, or even a hairstylist, or like a clothing stylist. Do you want that? Is this a big enough performance for you to hire those folks? If so, hire them, make sure you get a contract, and make sure that they stay in the know with everything as well. And make sure that you document that process as well. I think that like pre-performance like video and like your fans seeing how you get ready for a performance is super awesome. And I think that if you think about some of your favorite artists, like the bigger artists, when you see them like backstage, it's like kind of cool. So think about that as well, and communicate that with your photographer / videographer. Then there's promotion. And so, usually there's a flyer. If there's not, ask them if they can make one. Or if they don't want to make one or don't have plans to make one, ask if it's okay for you to make one yourself. Put your logo on there, always brand yourself, always use your branding. Think about like, do you want to make a teaser video? And this doesn't have to be like you hire a videographer to make a teaser video. Like you can go on TikTok and just be like, yo, I'm performing at this time, this date, at this venue. I hope to see you there. Maybe like, use the green screen and be like, I'm going to be performing my new song. Give people, something to look forward to, something to say like, oh, like, I really don't want to miss this performance. And yeah, you like I said, you don't have to spend any money on that. You can use TikTok, you can use Instagram, whatever works for you. Next thing is newsletter. If you have a newsletter that's tied to your email or tied to your website, highly recommend, doing like, if it's a weekly or if it's a monthly, doing like an upcoming performances section and linking people to tickets, or linking people to, if the event is free, maybe linking them to the address or to the website or whatever it may be. Contact local media, if it's a big performance for you. If it's something like, as an example here, this is a picture of me at the arts festival. If it's something like big for you, if it's like a big stamp in your artistry career where you're like, yo, this has been a goal of mine, yeah, reach out to local media. Hit up the Pittsburgh City Paper, hit up the Pittsburgh Current. I mean, even people who like have blogs and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of dope Pittsburgh music blogs. And tell them like, hey, I'm performing at this and this time. Like, this is why, this is why I'm excited. You can give them a blurb, you can give them a bio, something to start with. And then who knows, maybe that might spark a bigger conversation and get you an interview. And then, like I said before, with the flyer, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn. I said it. A lot of people think of LinkedIn as like this suits and ties, business, very professional, officey place. And like, yeah, there is that side of LinkedIn, but like also there's artists on LinkedIn. There's like, I mean, not that artists can't wear business clothes, but you know what I mean? Like it's not like this, so it's not so serious as I think people make it out to be. And I think that's the way that LinkedIn originally started. And that's why people think of it as that, to be fair. But post it on LinkedIn, get a LinkedIn account and post it on LinkedIn. You never know who can see it and who, might come to your performance because of that. Now the day of, this is showtime. You want to be prepped, you want to come prepared. You want to check in with your team. Hey, is everyone good today? How's everybody feeling? You want to know as soon as possible if anybody's sick, if anybody, is dealing with, some things that maybe, they feel like they're not in the right place to perform that day. You want to make sure that like everyone, like, do you need any equipment? Like, I'm gonna run a guitar center. Does anybody need anything? You want to check in with your team. That goes in with equipment check, making sure that you have everything that you need. You can even check in if maybe if you're not bringing any equipment, you're showing up and you're expecting to use all of that venue's equipment, maybe check in with them. Hey, is everything good? That can annoy some people, it can, but if it's your performance, and like at the end of the day, the people are coming to see you or the other artists on that lineup, and you want to have the best performance that you can possibly have, because that's what people are going to see and that's what they're going to walk away with. You want to check in with yourself. I'm so bad at this. I'm really bad at self-care. But I'm trying to get better and trying to learn what that means for me. But check in with yourself, like, what does my body need right now? Do I need to be drinking water? Oh my God, I haven't drank any water today and it's 4 p.m. and I'm about to perform at 6 outside in 90-degree weather. Like, check in with yourself, see what you need, and listen to your body. Also, I do want to say, like, health comes first. I have performed with laryngitis before because I felt like I couldn't back out of a performance. But that's when like communication comes in to play. You got to ask people, hey, like, I really don't think I can do this. Be honest with yourself. I almost gave myself permanent vocal cord damage from performing with laryngitis. It isn't that real, y'all. Please don't do that. Health comes first. Make sure you take care of yourself. And also, like, same thing with your team. Then you got load in and sound check. You want to make sure that everybody feels solid at sound check and like not to rush through it. There are some venues who rush through sound check. Don't let them do that to you. I understand if like front of house is opening up and people are coming in, they're starting to let people in. That shouldn't be the case. There should never be a sound check that runs into the doors opening. Like that's just not good practice. But do not let them rush you. Again, people are coming to see you, and how you sound and how you look and how your performance goes is what they are going to walk away with. And that's what's important. And so this is why it's really important that you're on time for sound check. Because, that time is allotted there for you to make sure that you sound the best that you can. Give everyone in your band and the sound engineer your set list. Some sound engineers are going to be like, why did you give this to me? I don't need this. Okay, cool. You don't need it. Some sound engineers are going to be like, thank you. And it depends, how your setup is. I use a vocal processor on stage, so I control my vocal processing. And I have the sound engineer basically leave my vocals dry so that I'm controlling how the reverb and the delay and all that stuff on my vocals. But if you are having the sound engineer do that for you, them having your set list and your notes of like, hey, I want a lot of reverb on this song, or I want a lot of delay on this song, that is vital. And they probably have asked you for that in an email way before the performance date anyway, I would hope. So make sure, make sure that you communicate that and make sure that everybody has the set list so that they know what's going on. And then it's showtime. And I always say this, and I have to remind myself sometimes, perform like it's the most meaningful performance of your life every time. No matter if one person shows up or 100 or 500 or 1,000, perform like it's the most meaningful performance of your life every time. Again, whoever shows up, that's how they're going to see you and that's what they're going to walk away with. And you never know, like, people are taking video, people are taking photos, like, you never know, like a video of you performing that day could go viral on TikTok, and maybe there's only 2 people in the crowd. TikTokers don't know that, it's a video of you on stage. So just, I think it's really important to not get down on yourself if only a few people show up, and to just perform, give it your best, basically is what I'm trying to say. Post-performance. All right, so I think that this is one of the things that is severely overlooked by a lot of artists. It's something that I overlook certain situations. Like, I know that it really, really depends on your energy levels. I know firsthand, I have fibromyalgia. I'm technically disabled. I don't always come off the stage and feeling the best. Sometimes my body hurts. Sometimes, like I need some water, I'm dehydrated, like there's all these needs and stuff like that. And coming off the stage, the last thing you really want to do is be social. That depends. Like I think that's a needs-based thing, and also a personality thing, energy, vibe. Like there's so many things that go into that. If you can come off the stage and immediately start to network and mingle, again, it depends. But I just want to say, with this advice, do what you feel is best for you in that moment. I think that there's times where I can push myself and it's healthy, and then there's times where I can push myself and it's not healthy. So just make that decision for yourself. And with that, I'm going to say, thank the crowd, thank your band, / your team, your DJ, whatever you brought, your dancers, whoever you brought, and thank the staff. The truth is that without the staff, you probably wouldn't be there. Without the sound engineers, you probably wouldn't have sound, or good sound. So like thank the people, and let them know that you're appreciative of it. Make sure that it's genuine though, that's really important. And pack up your stuff, make sure that you have all of your equipment. I know like some bands that are big, if they have like a 5-piece band, 2 backing vocalists, dancers, they got the whole thing. They have like a checklist of like a pack in and pack out. So they know that they brought their stuff. Make sure your stuff is labeled, especially when it comes to XLR cords. Get a label maker, label your stuff, because things get swapped out, and you can come there with a $55 XLR cord, and then leave with a $20 one. And like, if you're putting your money into your equipment, it's just like, you don't want to do free tradesies like that. Mingle and get to know your fans. So I think that this is super, super, super important. Introduce yourself, network, and stay for the other performers. I know firsthand, like when I first started performing, I was doing a lot of performances for free, which is, that's a whole conversation. But I was doing a lot of performances for free, so I was getting booked a lot. So I was doing like 4 performances on a Friday, 3 performances on a Saturday, and like 2 performances on a Sunday. And basically what that meant was I would perform, pack up, jump to the next event, perform, pack up, jump to the next event. Number one, so tiring on my body and on my spirit and on my creative practice. And number 2, didn't allow me to introduce myself and network with people and see other performers, which I think is super, super important. If you can stay. When you show up and you perform and you dip, I think that it can come off as a little disrespectful. It depends again on, the insight, it depends again on the background, I guess I should say, of like why you are. Again, health comes first, but if you're dipping, at least say bye. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you don't gotta explain yourself, but just, hey, I'm gonna head out. Thank you for having me. Blah blah blah. All right. Next, post about it. So get pictures, get your videos if you hired a photographer, videographer. Also, one thing that I didn't note is when you're hiring a photographer or videographer, make sure that it is very clear the expectations of when you expect those edited photos and that edited video. You don't, I mean, there's lots of different ways to post and algorithms and all that. I'm not a social media guru, but in my opinion, you don't want to be posting about a performance that you had 6 months ago. I think you want to you want to wrap it up. So you performed, maybe a week goes by, you said, hey, thank you. You post the videos and the pictures. Hey, thank you for coming out. This was fun, da 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 da. You say your piece about it, and then on to the next. So make sure that in that contract that you have with your photographer and videographer, you clearly state when you expect those videos and those photos. Also, I want to say that when people tag you in their Instagram story, I think that is so, so important. I mean, I've found so many artists that I like, that I love, just because somebody was at a concert and took a quick 15-second video of them and tagged them. And then I went to their page. I was like, wow, like that song was cool. Who is this? And I go to their Spotify, and then I find out, oh, they're in Cleveland, or they're in this city, or that's another Pittsburgh artist. And then, you expand the music that you like and the artists that you appreciate. So if someone tags you in Instagram, I think that it's wise to say thank you and to repost it to your story. Again, not a social media guru, but I think that it's wise to do that. I think that connecting with fans, I understand, again, especially going through a pandemic, we've all learned stuff. We've all learned things about ourselves and about our social capabilities. Again, I think that it's super important to connect with your fans. And if someone is DMing you like, yo, I was at your show and that was so dope, don't leave them on red. You know what I'm saying? Connect with your fans, say thank you, ask them what they liked. What did you like about the song? Oh, ask for feedback, get feedback. Was there anything about the performance that you didn't like? If there was anything that you could change, what would it be? You can take feedback with a grain of salt. It's like, if someone tells you something and, you don't agree with it, you're like, oh, well, that's the way that I perform, then keep it pushing. But sometimes you can get good feedback from fans, just saying. Send individual thank yous. I always want to make sure that the people who work with me want to be working with me. And I think that sounds like a little, you're like, well, yeah, duh, Brittany. But no, if someone is my drummer or my bass player, I want them to want to be there. And if they don't know that they're appreciated, if they don't know that I respect them and I love them, then they might not want to play with me. So I would just want to really let them know that I see the time that they put in. Rehearsal is no joke. You get 5 people together to rehearse. It's that's a lot of shared time across 6 people, counting me. People got out of work, drove through rush hour traffic to get to my house, brought all of their instruments, packed up all of their stuff and put it in their car in the beginning of the day, right before they even went to work. They get to my house, they unpack everything, set everything up. Then we have to roll through rehearsal. That can take hours. And then we wrap up, and then they pack up their instruments, and then they put them back in their cars, and then they drive home. And then in 2 days, we have to do it all over again for the actual performance. It's a lot of work. And I think that a lot of band members don't get the appreciation that they deserve. So just make sure that you appreciate your people. And that goes for DJs as well. DJs got to lug that equipment around. They got to rehearse with you. Your team, you know what I'm saying? Whoever is a part of your team, make sure that they know that you appreciate them. And if you don't appreciate them, maybe you should reevaluate who's on your team. All right. I just want to open it up. We got I think we got about 15 minutes. I want to open it up to any questions from anyone.
Brittany, what's next? Because I haven't heard from you. But what's next for you? I don't know if you relocated, maybe don't get me to tell no lies, but what's new, what's next, and what's up and coming?
No, I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, I moved to Chicago to further my artistry, to see more opportunities, to work with new people. I still love all my people in Pittsburgh, but I think that it was just about that time for me. First off, I'm sitting on an album right now. I have an entire album of songs ready. Well, they need mixed and masters. So right now, it's really just about funding. So I'm waiting to get some funds to have all my songs mixed and mastered, and then releasing that album. Like, I'm really, really pushing for like May 2022. And then kind of like starting now, actually, I'm actually having like a real genre that I'm in. I'm a pop hip hop artist. And I think that I have a specific sound that is more on the hip hop side. And I kind of want to move into some other genres that I'm really feeling. And, being in a new city, there's so much talent here as well. And I'm taking this time to really like tap into the instrumentalists here. And I want to build, I really, really want to build like an all queer band, and start either an EP or another album, and start working on that very slowly, because I think that the history of my work is really rushed. It's like, yo, we wrote this song, okay, let's get in the studio, let's record it, okay, mix and master, release it. And I really just want to take some time to just sit with a project, switch into a different vibe, and get to know some people, and work with some really dope musicians, and get that out. So I think that that's the next plan.
That's really awesome. Well, we miss you here in Pittsburgh.
I miss y'all so much.
Also, leading into your presentation, what are some of the red flags that kind of encouraged this? Like, what happened? What was some of the main red flags that you saw throughout your duration of being an artist that kind of ties in with this presentation?
Yeah, 100%. It's, I always want to see people flourish. And when I see an artist get on stage and they're looking back at the DJ like, yo, don't play that song, like the next one. It's like, it creates a vibe in the crowd. You're like, oh man, like, it's a little uncomfortable. And I think that when you get on stage, and like perfectionism is a whole nother thing that like, is a thing. And like, I'm gonna put it over here. But I think when you get on stage, and things are seamless and they're smooth, and like there's that, just that vibe of like, what you're doing, and like your team knows what they're doing, and it's flowing, it's beautiful. And I think that I've seen a lot of artists get on stage who are so capable of that, and because they didn't rehearse, or because there was a miscommunication on what time to show up or something like that, people are stressed out, people have anxiety, and it's not the best performance that they could give. And it really disappoints me, because I'm like, damn, like, I know you're a good artist, I know you're a good performer, and like this isn't the best performance from you. And it's sad to see, I think. And like I said, you never know who's in the crowd, you never know what that video of you on Instagram or on TikTok can do for your career. And I think that I just want people looking out for themselves as much as they possibly can. So that's really what sparked this. I also have made so many mistakes in my come up, and I continue to make mistakes. Just like forgetting my vocal processor at home. And it's like, yo, that is something that's vital for me, because without my vocal processor, my songs just are going to sound completely different. And it's not that it's going to be a bad performance, but it definitely isn't going to be the performance that like I have a standard of for myself.
That's awesome. And lastly, what is your main advice for people that are just starting out, especially the young ones? What is your main advice?
Don't think that it's a competition. This is I think one of the most biggest things right now. I think, I don't want to just blame social media, but I think that social media has a big part to play in it. We are artists, and people keep referring to us as content creators. And when we're referred to as a content creator, we're then pushed into this pocket of we have to make and create and push it out as fast as we can. And it has to be quick. And if we don't do it quick enough, the next person over here is going to do it quicker and they're going to make it before me. And I still struggle with this, which is what I just got done saying, is like, I have rushed all of my projects, every single one. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of feeling like there's this race to create. Number one, I think it really just diminishes the creativity and the overall, like, what the project can be, like what the project has potential to be and sound like. And two, it's like stressful on your body and on your mental, and to just be in this constant rat race to fame or you know, to make it. It's like, it's really disgusting for me. And I have hit my wall of caring about that. And I think that is like true transition for me personally. Like, I think that anybody who is just starting out right now, don't think that this is a competition. Just do what you want to do, create what you want to create. You know, you're creating for a reason, whether that's to get your feelings out there or to create awareness or like whatever. You're doing that for you, and just like hold on to that. Continue to do it for you, you know?
No, that's amazing. So where can we find you? Tell us about your social media.
Yes. I just want to say thank you again for having me. Like, really appreciate it. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are doing some great things. I can be found on Instagram, of course, at Brittany Chantel. Also, I ask anybody who is watching, a big thing right now for artists, you know, is Spotify, but you know, the other music streaming platforms as well. But on Spotify, you know, your favorite local artist, please hit the follow button on their artist page. It really, really helps the algorithm. You know, everything's an algorithm now. So if you love an artist, like I've even found that there's artists that I love that I've been listening to for years, and I'm like, wow, I'm not following them on Spotify. So hit the follow button on Spotify. That truly helps us out. And I greatly appreciate that. And you can also find all of my other links at my Linktree, Linktree / Brittany Chantel.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany. I really appreciate it. And
of course, thank you.
Anytime. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again for the Virtual Arts Home Fall Fest. Once again, I would like to thank CLN, AEC, Legacy, and the Hines Endowments. Remember to follow us on Twitter at LearningPGH, and to keep an eye out for our website, creativelearningpgh.org, for these lessons and so much more. I'm Markia Hart, and make sure you guys enjoy the rest of this day. I know it's gloomy, but you know, thank you so much.